Toby, good morning.
Good morning.
So half of Africa's population will have mobile phones by 2025. I already thought most of our population has mobile phones.
Yes, I mean, the numbers are quite staggering. It will increase to 623 million users by 2025. So that'll be half of the 1.2 billion people in Africa. The interesting thing is that there are more SIM cards already because people have more than one SIM card. You know, in South Africa, people often have a Vodacom and an MTN or a Cell C or a Telkom mobile. So SIM cards is a different number to the actual number of users. And interestingly, it's a 44% increase over the numbers from 2018. So very significant. And the GSMA is the organization that all the operators and everybody else belongs to. Then they have the kind of the umbrella body for the cellular industry. They've just had a big event in Kigali, which is why I'm unshaven and a little. Where you got in from
early this morning, straight from the airport. Thanks for that.
The flight arrives at 2:30 in the morning. OR Tambo is a ghost town at the time. But this conference was really interesting because there was such interesting stuff about how people use technology and really great examples of the use of technology and what people are doing, and of course the growth of these numbers in Africa. One of the interesting figures that came up, I was on a panel with someone from Facebook who I may have insulted Facebook or been very critical of Facebook.
What's one more?
Yes.
You know, what's one more person?
Exactly. So he was saying, last year I did a story saying 138 million Facebook users in Africa are on mobile. It's now 145 million. So 1 in 10 people in Africa are using Facebook, and they're using it on mobile. Very interesting growth of e-commerce and mobile money. Half of all the mobile money accounts in the world, just under 400 million, are in Africa.
So what's this expected to do for the continent? All of these increases and these whopping numbers that we're seeing.
I mean, it just allows for that. You hear the phrase leapfrog, but it does allow for people to do interesting things. And I often see or mobile money as the next wave of innovation for what you can do with cell phones. First, building the networks was important. That alone was like building the railway. Once you had the railway down, then you had the next level of services, which is the mobile money payment services. And then the things you do with mobile money, like pay as you go for solar panels, like M-Kopa. We don't really have a system like that in South Africa, but it's huge in East Africa. So levels of innovation on top of other levels of innovation. And of course, once you start giving people access to mobile money, you can start doing some very interesting things. MasterCard has a very clever farmer network where they allow farmers to sell their goods and buyers to buy it, and they do it all either on an app or with a feature phone. People get SMSs. It gives much more transparency, so the farmers can see what they're paying. They get a better single exit, so they get more for their crop via the system. It just means a better life, essentially. And I'm going to go into detail soon about all of this stuff, because it's really fascinating to see just how fintechs are thriving. I mean, one of the other figures the GSMA released is that fintechs have raised $327 million in the last 12 to 18 months. I mean, very significant investment, of course, off a low base.
Well, it can only be good for the continent.
Yeah, all good for everybody.
Okay, so speaking of Facebook, which you chatted about a little earlier, the US Congress having a bit of a go. What's Facebook done now?
Yes, so Facebook went to the US lawmakers this week, and they wanted to talk about their new Libra currency, and of course they were just ravaged by these lawmakers who look like kind of older, less tech-savvy people the last time Facebook went to see them over the whole Cambridge Analytica. But there are a whole bunch of new, much more tech-savvy, especially Democrats that have joined, and they really gave Facebook a torrid time. And one of the comments that I thought was really great, the senator from Ohio, Sherrod Brown, a Democrat, said, quote, "Like a toddler who's gotten its hands on a book of matches, Facebook has burned the house down over and over and called every arson a learning experience."
Well, that kind of sums it up, doesn't it?
It does, because every time Facebook does something hugely controversial, the next thing they say, it's Zuckerberg says, it's my fault, we've learned from it, well, at which point are you accountable? There's talk that they're going to be fined $5 billion by the FTC for this consent decree. They agreed that they would tell users if their data was stolen. This was in 2011. And then, of course, Cambridge Analytica happened and they didn't tell anybody. So Facebook's share price actually went up at the announcement of that $5 billion because you know, the market was waiting for it, then it happened, and now they could write it into everything else. So a torrid time for Facebook. That's just one of the controversial things that was said. I don't know that I would trust Facebook to be the currency. I mean, they refuse to admit they're an advertising platform or a publishing platform.
There are too many blank spaces, too many questions still hang over them.
Indeed.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there for now. Thanks very much, Toby. Go home, get some sleep. Yes.
Thank you.
And we'll catch up with the weather as we just roll over.